Kamie, I was just talking to Elle, and the thing that fascinates me sometimes it doesn't matter what level, whether it's high school, college, whatever. A kid can come in and have an outstanding freshman season like she did a year ago, and then sometimes stumble along and have kind of a sophomore slump. She hasn't even come close to that. She's been sensational all year, right?
Yeah.
Talk about how she's not only been able to maintain consistency, but actually take it up another level.
Yeah. I mean, she's a unique um, athlete and person and competitor. And she just literally, I think last year was such a remarkable achievement as to us finding out just what she was capable of and her just unflappability, if that's a word, just unflappable. Didn't care who we were playing, didn't know who we were playing, didn't know if they were supposed to be good or bad. Just showed up on every game, and now she's at the top of the scouting report. She's people are gearing things to stop her. So she's not missed a beat. I don't think she thinks she's played perfectly. I think she's disappointed in how she shot it a little bit, but given the detail of the scouting report that people have against her and toward her and the attention she's drawing now, she's been unbelievably remarkable for us.
And it's so funny to hear her tell it. She's still just the second best player in her family.
Yeah, I mean it's again, her sister is special. Just keep looking at it and wish like crazy we could have gotten Matty here as well. But the reality is this has been very good for LA and the fact that this is probably going to help her career, being alone and being on her own and having to expand her game more than she would if Matty was here.
What do you envision, uh, not only in the next season, but where do you see Ellie being able to develop her game?
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about that with her. I mean, I think the reality is that she does not spend the summers with us. She goes home because she's so involved with their national team program and is usually has something going on with one of the teams. Or now she's getting a little older. She might not be eligible for some of the younger teams, but um, I think if she were here, we would have a little bit more, and we'll give her a detailed plan of what we want her to do. It's just when you're on a national team or don't have access to gyms and don't have, full on just people available to work on your individual game. Um, I think what tends to happen with her is that she goes back and kind of just drops into that system and does what she's always done there. Even if it's not exactly what we would want her to do, we want her to improve her outside shot. We want her to get a little more shifty with her ball handling skills to literally be able to. I mean, we keep saying Steph Curry. I don't mean it like that, but that shiftiness that you could still get some step back threes, and she's good enough with her
Yeah.
handle. She's quick enough. I think she could become better at dropping down and improving her 3-point shot and with a little bit of that ball handling and shiftiness that we'd like to see in her, and that would only make the rest of her game better. But it's very specific to what she needs to do. And again, I don't think she can totally get that sometimes when she's in Italy or traveling with the national team. So it's a work in progress. Got to really work with her in the couple of weeks that we have in the off season to really kind of show her the drills that we might do if she were here. Still need to try to find ways to get her back to us sometimes over the next couple of years, but I think that's the biggest improvement. It's just continued growth in her 3-point shot and her footwork. And again, I just keep using that word, the shiftiness of creating her own shot or creating opportunities for other people.
I remember when we talked in the preseason, you were talking about you wanting to recruit a better point guard, not talking about anybody, not demeaning anybody that you have on your team, but just improving that position. I I get it that you don't envision Ellie being a full time point guard. She's kind of a backup emergency point guard when you need her, but you still want her to develop those handles and everything else to where she can run the team if you need her, right?
No question. And ultimately where she'll play in the professional level is point guard. So that will help her as much as anything. AT comes back. We did sign another point guard. That'll be a super young player again, but we're going to continue to get Ellie, opportunities at the point guard spot. Again, as her voice gets bigger and bigger, which I think it will, um, her comfort level of what we try to do, putting the ball in her hands more and more, I think is key for her to develop at that point guard spot.
Now, are you referring to the gal from Kosovo that you signed in November, or did you sign
Yes,
somebody else?
yes,
Oh,
her.
her. Okay.
Yeah,
Is AT familiar with this
yes,
player?
yes.
Oh, is that kind of how you found out about her, or?
Well, just through, watching film and watching teams. But yes, we certainly went through AT's family and they were fantastic when we went and visited them. So we got to meet both families and visit Kosovo. So it's a pretty special time for us.
Cool. Do you envision, not for this story, but do you envision this player having an immediate impact, or will she be a developmental player?
Well, it's all about the NCAA. They're tinkering with rules. I mean, she's young enough. She's going to be 16. Malvina's going to be
Oh,
16 when she comes in until December. So she's unbelievably young. And honestly, when we visited her in, I don't know if it was October or September or, September, I guess, that was that home visit period. I mean, she's probably 5'9", but I bet she weighed 110 pounds. And
huh.
watching her on film now, she's probably put on 20 pounds and maybe added an inch or two. So her body's just, I mean, she's 15, she's 16 right now. So she really has a great frame. And at the time, we thought, well, it's no problem. We'll be solid anyway. We'll just redshirt you. But now the NCAA is tinkering with, I mean, it's not done yet, but everybody's saying it's going to eventually be, you're going to have 5 years to play 5 years. You're going to have
Right,
5 years to have 5 years to play. So you literally could play 5 years, but you only have
right,
5 years to do it. So it basically is eliminating all the waivers and the redshirt potentials. And
right.
if
In
that's the
other words,
case,
when the
it's
clock starts, you
and
got
you
five
can
years.
you can use them or not use it your fifth year or whatever. So if that were the case, if it went through, we'd be stupid. And if we feel like that's going to happen, then we'd be stupid to think redshirt her first year. Now, you know, obviously having a senior point guard and LA in that situation and Beanie back, Jean back. I mean, you know, that was the idea. It's a pretty loaded position. But again, it all depends on how good a person is when they walk in, and we're pretty excited about her.
Sure. Uh, where do you see Ellie stepping into more of a leadership role next year?
Yeah, I mean, I think she's capable of much, much more. Her voice has gotten way bigger this year. Her comfort level, um, again, she's as easygoing as a person as there is. Nobody's ever said a bad word about her. She doesn't think a bad thought about anybody. She's just pleasant and do I wish she were a little more, you know, demonstrative and more, showing a little bit more, I don't know what you want to call it, we say it to Alex all the time, grr, like that grr and get after people, but it's not really her personality. But I think as you play and as you compete and as your team needs you to be more vocal, I think those things grow in players, and I think that's going to continue
Yeah.
to happen with Ellie.
You just mentioned Alex. What's the update on her?
Yeah, she's getting close. She's getting close. We expect her back, and hope everything's going to be full go by the time we start the tournament.
Okay. You've already got the third seed locked up, and you've got the final regular season game tomorrow. What do you want to see between now and next weekend?
Yeah, just I mean, what a great situation for us. I mean, I don't know that ideally it's best to have the last week as a as a as a bye, but we probably could have used that earlier. But I think the big thing for us is to get a lot of rest to some of our big minute players to really You know, it's a free weekend, so we're giving them Friday, Saturday off. We'll manage it next week and hope that we can keep a good rhythm and everything to be playing our best basketball when we hit Vegas and on, whenever we go Friday, I think. And we still think we can get better. We hope to have Alex back, so working her back into practice and getting great reps for her. It's been beneficial in some ways not to have her. It's put Dee in a position of having to do more. It's put Candace in a position to having to do more. I mean, it's really required us to go small sometimes, which has made us practice that a lot during this time. So I think, it's this whole month that we haven't had Alex has kind of helped us build some momentum and give us confidence in how to play and not give us how people can get lost if they're not positive of their role or what they're supposed to be doing on any given possession. I think we've kind of overcome and worked through some of that. So uh excited for our team and excited that I think we can go in healthy and rested and I hope improved.
It's probably a question I should save till next week, but since I've got you right now, I'll go ahead and ask you. Uh, you haven't beaten Gonzaga or Portland, but in three of those four games, you were right there and had a chance. What are your thoughts about a possible rematch with one of them in the tournament?
Yeah, I mean, I like our chances against anybody in the league. Again, I hate that we dropped a couple of games, Um, I hate that we couldn't finish off a couple of games as well. Um, but again, those two teams do some unique things and they're really good at what they do. We're young. It's taken a minute for us to really get a little bit more solid on certain parts of the game. Those guys are rebounding machines. That's been a weakness of ours. We turned the ball over too much early. That's cleaned up a little bit. Defensively, they present some problems with posting up smaller guards. I mean, that's still yet to be seen if we can handle that a little bit better. But it's a moment for everybody to go into that tournament and have a chance to advance and get to the NCAA tournament. And um, I think it's a situation where our team's very hungry, and I think they're confident that we can beat anybody that we play on any given night.
You had no idea what to expect in this new conference when we talked back in November, or yeah, or October, and you've almost completed the regular season. What are your thoughts about the WCC?
Well, I think it's been really competitive. I mean, I'm a little bit shocked by how bad some of the teams' net ratings are, preseason. Um, once you have a bad net in the not 11, whatever conference games we have or non-conference games, it's hard to get that up. Ours dropped once we went into the tournament. We didn't win enough games in the non-conference. So, a non-conference, we really tried to up our schedule. I thought we would beat some of those teams that we played. We didn't. We weren't quite, ready to beat some of those teams on the road in particular. Um, but ultimately our whole goal is to put our kids in really tough situations and play everybody on the schedule and hope that you can match up well with anybody you play in March. And I don't feel any different. If we were talking Pac-12, I'd be saying the same thing. If we're talking here, I feel very comfortable and confident that uh, teams in this league can beat us. Lots of matchups are difficult, for every given team. One matchup for us is different for someone else, but that's just the nature of conferences. And it's on us to play well in the games in Vegas. And I think it's hard when you're in a one bid league, but that's where we are right now, and everybody's got to compete and get themselves to that point to give themselves a chance to win the tournament.
Kamie, thanks so much.
Thanks, Rick.
Thanks, Greg. And then Michelle, you've got your hand up. Go ahead.
Hello, Michelle.
Hi, Kamie.
How's it going?
It's good. It's good to talk to you.
Thank you. Yep.
Being in a one bid league, it's a little bit of a head of the pin on the pin situation. So you've got to play you've got to play your best next weekend. You feel like you guys are ramping up to that?
Yeah, I mean, that's the hope. Again, I think getting healthy and hoping that we get a 6'6" player back into our lineup really makes us, you know, just a little bit harder to match up with, at least it gives the opponents another thing that they got to deal with. I think that helps us. Again, love how our freshman D, who's in the starting lineup now, is playing. I think her confidence grows every time she's in there. Tara's solid. AT is playing as good a basketball she's ever played and wants the ball. And then you're talking about Ellie and Jenna. I mean, I just like our lineup. I like our matchups. I like our size. I like the fact that we're rebounding a little bit better. I think we're built pretty good and like I said, can compete with anyone we play.
I know you guys are young, but do you feel like your postseason experience as a program is an asset in this situation?
No, I don't even think about that. Maybe Tara's going to feel really confident. Maybe AT. Yeah, I would say that. Again, I would look at LA and go, she's never been bothered by that, so I'm not even worried about her. Um, but for those two players, I would say yes. Um, everybody else I think is kind of brand new minutes, and they're going to follow along. And again, I just think they're competitive, and we just got to make them believe they can beat anybody if they play to their strengths and um, and keep everybody kind of in their lane doing what they're supposed to do and keep it just between the lines.
Anything that you would consider a surprise or really unexpected about your team's experience in the WCC this season?
Well, I just what I communicated. Losing to Santa Clara was eye-opening, but we just couldn't guard the way that we wanted to. We weren't good enough scouting. The kids didn't understand some stuff. So I think it just taught us that our youth, we just were still, like fish out of water. We weren't moving with the ease that I think we are now. The urgency, I think the urgency, teams that have more experience and are more locked in or maybe more mature just seem to play with more urgency. I think Portland does that like crazy, but then you turn around, you go, yeah, 5 seniors are in their starting lineup. But you just know what you're going to get from them. They're so competitive and they want to win. I think that's eye-opening to our players, and they've recognized that in Portland. They certainly recognize that with Ejim and how relentless she is and how she competes and plays. So I think that's been the biggest thing is the level of competitiveness, the level of experience and maturity that we've seen in this league has been really, really solid. And a little bit of learning as we go, and the recognition that you really can lose to anybody if you're not playing at your best. And I think for us, we've struggled putting the ball in the basket, and games are in the 60s, and we can't get to 70 at times early in this league. That still bit us again early in the league, and I think we're getting a little bit more solid on where our point production is coming from, and getting closer to numbers where we can separate ourselves from other teams.
Kamie, thank you. It's good to talk to you.
Yeah, Michelle, thank you.
Thanks, Coach.
Appreciate it. Go Cougs.